I was tasked with using this little pearl tom, taking the mount off of it and putting it on this bass drum so we could have it mounted to the rack at the high school I teach for their marching band. And so it was going to take a little bit of drilling. I used an existing hole for the center hole and based the other screw holes around it. This bass drum's probably older than I am, so there wasn't really any concern about using it. Right now I'm just gathering up some tools I'm going to need, taking the mount off the tom, and if this works I'll take pictures of it as proof that I succeeded. And for this I used DeWalt power tools, cordless drill, cordless screwdriver, used a socket wrench and pieces of a Dremel. It was pretty low maintenance. I mostly just used stuff I either already had in the garage or the hardware that came on the tom. So if you have something to cannibalize, you can do this pretty easily yourself too. So here I am lining up this leather insert that was in the mount just to make sure I drill the holes in the right places. And I put the mount up near the top of the drum just so there wasn't too much weight of the drum on top of it, and rather it's kind of hanging off. That might or might not have been the best choice, but it's what I did. And I used the step drill to drill out the center hole, and it wasn't big enough, so I had to devise a way to file it out, make it big enough. Tried using a regular, just larger drill bit to chip it away. That didn't work, so I had to get a little creative. Got out my Dremel to try and use the file bit, which did kind of work, but it took forever and ever and ever. And just, I realized it wasn't going to work like I wanted it to. So I ended up just using the step drill in tandem with that file bit, and I used the step drill to chip off large chunks of the hole and then file it out with the Dremel bit. This took forever, a lot longer than I wanted to spend on this project, but it did work out in the end. But if you have like a table router bit that you can just cut a hole like that out more easily, do that. It'll save you time, frustration, and it'll look a whole heck of a lot more professional. This I'm banking on and no one ever seeing that hole outside of the mount ever again after this season, so it's fine. But if you're looking for something professional that fits well, you're going to want to use more professional equipment, obviously. So I did this thing where I chipped out large chunks with the step drill and then filed it down a whole bunch of times over and over to get the right fit. So I needed to go get something to test the fit, so I grabbed a tom arm off my drum set, which is about the size of the mount for the pearl tom, and it fit, so I thought I was done. That's all I'd have to do with it. So I gathered up the parts for the clamp. I lost one of the screws, and that ended up just being magnetized to a screw holder. So keep track of your stuff better than I did. It will save you a lot of time. It looked like everything was going to work out fine. So I went, I gathered the last of my things to screw the screws in, flip the drum over, only to find out it was still too small for the plastic insert that goes inside of it. So I had to widen the hole a little bit more, and it fit. I had to squeeze it in there, but it did fit, and so I just decided to go with it. I had spent a lot of time doing it at that point. I had to end up re-drilling some of the holes just to get the bolts to fit in there right. And like it worked, so everything did eventually go in. It took a little work. I used the screwdriver and a socket wrench to tighten them down so I wouldn't have to worry about it coming loose. You know, it did what it was supposed to. It looked kind of how I envisioned it. It did scratch up the drum a little bit, but that's fine just because of how old it is. So I will show you the finished product. There it is. It is pretty much just how I needed it to be. It's mostly centered, it's on tightly, it doesn't fit the curvature as well. But here's some pictures I took. I've got it on the rack there. A closer version, and I'm just using a cymbal arm, so I'd say that this was a success.